are controversial, easy, no-brainer, wins, or absolutely nots. It's just indicative. We will place those ideas on those analysis sheets. At the end of that, of course, we will then have a deck of sheets. That deck of sheets essentially represents the opportunities to change the experience. So we've taken the ideas from the brown paper, we've put them onto these analysis sheets. We now have a stack of analysis sheets for us to use in the opportunity workshop. With these sheets, we essentially do three things. Put them into one of three piles. The first pile is there's no way the British Council will ever do this, so it's not worth considering. The next pile is this is so easy, it's a no-brainer. It goes into that pile. This is absolutely yes pile. The biggest pile will be the middle pile, and that is well, it depends. These are the ones that need further clarification, and that's what we are actually using the opportunity workshop to do. So at this opportunity workshop, what we're going to do is ask people from the site, people who would actually implement the changes, to go through the ideas, especially the ones which are the it depends, the middle ground ideas, and to determine for themselves which ones will have the greatest impact on the experience that they are looking for, and to determine which of those are most highly prioritized for actual implementation. And that is the point of that workshop. So at the end of that workshop, what you're able to provide the on-site staff and management with are the prioritized ideas, perhaps the top 10, perhaps the top 20 ideas that you recommend for them to implement moving forward. The exact method of implementation is left to the site. At the end of the assessment, where you've had employees and customers come participate in this brown paper, take the survey, we now have to put this into a format that the British Council can use. Essentially, we'll take those ideas, place those onto the PowerPoint slides, the analysis sheets, we're calling those. Those are the ones we'll put into those three piles, the absolutely yes, absolutely no, and the it depends. We also have the survey data. That survey data we're going to place into a spreadsheet so that we can get a graph essentially of the emotional profile. So we have 20 emotions, we'll take the average figures from those emotions and we get a graph of that profile. From that profile, we're able to look and think about, are there particular emotions which seem to be things that we might need to work on. So for example, a positive emotion, something like interested, might be quite low. So if interested is quite low in this experience, perhaps we can look at the ideas and think, are there ideas here which address that particular emotion? Likewise, we might find that one of the negative emotions, something like frustrated, is very high. Maybe we can look at those ideas and find some of the ideas which we think would bring that negative emotion down. So we have that. We also have in the exercise, the assessment exercise, we've done this thing called emotional barometer. Emotional barometer has the same steps as we had on the brown paper. So step 1 of the experience, step 2 of the experience, step 3 of the experience. We're now asking customers and employees to run through that experience in their heads and just basically state, at step 1, where do you think the customer is emotionally, positive or negative? So the employees are trying to place themselves in the customer's shoes, run through the experience. Customers, of course, don't have to place themselves in the customer experience. We're asking them, where are you emotionally, positively or negatively? And essentially, you get a kind of a graph as well. That scale typically is from +2 to -2. So +2, +1, 0, -1, -2. Very simple scale. The point of it for employees is to think about the emotional experience. The point of it for customers is to also think about that emotional experience. And we basically kind of get a picture as you're going through this barometer of whether things are quite high or quite low. If you compare the results, the graph that you get from the barometer, so step 1, step 2, step 3, and a graph, emotional graph, quite high at step 1, 2, 3, and then low at steps 4, 5, and 6, and so forth. You compare that to the profile. The profile tells us which emotions are high, which emotions are low. The barometer gives us an indication of where we're at an emotional high and an emotional low. So if you put that together, that gives us clues about where and which of the ideas will have the biggest impact on the experience. There is no hard and fast rule about how to match those things. What we have are clues from the emotional barometer, which says where in the experience are high emotional highs and emotional lows. We have clues from the survey from customers, which tells us which emotions are high, which emotions are low. We can now look at the ideas on the analysis sheets in the PowerPoint deck, and we can then say, for these things that depend, will this make a difference? Will this affect step 3? Because that one was quite low in the emotional barometer. Will this affect frustrated? Because that was quite high on the profile. And then you're starting to make an assessment about, well, that's going to be a higher priority idea for us because that helps us address this weakness that we saw on the barometer and potentially this weakness that we saw on the profile. Or, as we said from the profile, this may emphasize a strong point that we have. So essentially, the management of the site looks at those things and puts it together for themselves because they need to buy into why they need to work on that particular idea. There is no hard and fast rule. There's no absolutes. This is now management decision, strategic decision making. But what we've done is provide them with some other evidence because we said the customer experience has the rational experience and the emotional experience. We now have some emotional evidence, at least, to think about how to prioritize those ideas.